From the great state of Texas, you are now listening to Skip the Noise podcast, a Rounded Edge media production. Thank you so much for joining us. And by us, of course, I'm referring to Rick, aka the Brown Python, Ben, aka Mexican Nostradamus, and myself, Benjamin Benji James, here for another tremendous episode. Shout out that I show us the best in no free nation. That's surrender. We are fun and I am Darpa Grid, man. And I'll tell you what, ever since that ice storm happened here, and everybody started bringing up ERCOT and Texas being on its own power grid and all these things, you know, thoughts started coming through my head, and also the elevation of cybersecurity, because everything now is basically all the information based, you know, just movement of everything. Right. How vulnerable, right? Just with a fucking code hack. And there's millions of these people that know how to hack. It's scary, right? So right. Power grids, though, right? They're physical structures, and they're not honestly very. If you want to think about it from they're not very well defended, right? They might have
at all, if at
all.
What? Yeah.
So literally, all it takes is like a fucking set of bolt cutters and a fucking rifle,
so fucking
and you can
scary,
or a fucking can of gas and a, you know, some accelerant and a fucking match, and you could really make some gnarly shit happen to a little community, if not a bigger scale. Well, not to terrify everybody, but in the last from the numbers from the previous year to this year, right, the increases of these attacks to the power grid have increased by over 70%. You like in the last decade there, in other words, there was more in the last year than there had been in the previous decade.
Oof.
That's a
little terrifying.
It's not a good metric. It's definitely not a comforting metric. So I hate to say this, but yeah, some of my fears of the vulnerability of the power grid and what kind of chaos, obviously, because you see it all the time. We see it a lot here, and you know, the heavy weather events, right? We see how crazy things can get. Right. So before I even continue, I just want to urge everybody, probably a good idea to purchase a generator. If you're a stock market type of guy, such as myself, you might want to watch things like that. Private security, fucking personal generators, you know what I mean? Things like that. Maybe on the uptick in the next decade or two, or maybe forever. Especially with pieces of sun crumbling off and flying all over the fucking place and changing the polar magnetization.
There we go. We're going deeper and deeper into this whole.
Change the fucking solar magnetation of the fucking
solar. I love
whole solar system.
I love where I don't know where this is going, but I'm enjoying this whole fucking ride because it's special and I like it. But right, I mean, the power grid, it is definitely a weakness, but what the biggest weakness, I think, that's part of it, is our whole infrastructure is the biggest weakness, right? People don't realize like anything that we really consider important can be wiped out relatively easily. Our power grid, our train system, like, dude, if you bust a couple of tracks in key areas, shipping's not happening.
Oh, and what are you going to do? What's the alternative?
There is no alternative. You're just
fucked.
There
isn't.
Nope, you're fucked. I mean, you are fucking properly fucked.
Well, think about this too.
That's a big
deal.
Just
tangent. Quick.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
Quick tangent. So like, remember, you know, people that are gung ho on these basically robot trucks that haul the goods around, right, with the electric vehicles and the basically trucking Teslas as far as transportation, vehicular transportation across the United States and supply chain. Think about like if once you get to that level, everything is now basically hackable.
Right.
So all of a sudden you've got a whole fleet of these robot trucks. It's just like, oh, blah, 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 type in a few lines of code, break through a couple fucking firewalls or whatever, and just like, oh no, stop. Similar to like a more of a guerrilla style, throwing a fucking penny on the railroad tracks, right, and derailing an entire chemical environmental disaster, you know?
Right.
But much like that, right? So these attacks on the power grids, and not to even make it even more scarier, but hey, a good number of them have been done by white supremacist terrorist groups. So that's cool. That's comforting too. Just much like Ben predicted. So I hate to say it, but once again, the kind of desperate state of the world as spelled out by your Skip the Noise power trio.
It's just ridiculous.
It's starting to envelop or starting to play itself out in the world, just as we designed on this little program that you subscribe to.
It's so scary and so sad that we're at this point. But see, that's the one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that there's so many soft targets in our country. And people, like, of course, try to think about the scarier, like the ones like, oh, the malls or something, or schools, but really it's our infrastructure, right? All it takes is, and people don't realize, it's our oil factories and facilities. I mean, yeah, they got gates and shit, but all it takes is a couple of determined dudes who got a job. I mean, we had 12 guys, or 19 guys, take flying lessons for a couple of months to take down the World Trade Centers. Think about if you had a couple of determined individuals actually go and basically get jobs at an oil facility and just take it out. I mean, we have some serious problems when it comes to our infrastructure. So it is a little scary. I mean, at any point in time, we're super vulnerable to this. So it's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, I like how we touched on that. It was kind of nuts. I'm with you. I mean, I'm fucking with you. We're still kind of screwed. And to kind of pivot off that point, I mean, one of our greatest resources, I mean, for the most part, are our fucking teachers. And, you were trying to mention earlier that we have a massive teacher shortage right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of, this is just specifically, I'll just speak on the Houston area.
Yeah.
So recently, a lot of news stories related to HISD, which is the biggest school district in the state of Texas, having major shortage problems. So much so that they're actually going to probably have to close campuses, not because of like funding, because of literally shortage in staff. And there's multiple other districts in the area. I want to say Crosby was one that may have to close campuses, because think about that.
Damn.
Bro,
closing
this is serious. This is serious.
Yep.
This isn't the school system you and I envisioned when we were in our heads, man, or when we were kids.
Yep.
This is crazy. Like, you want it so I remember, like, in the Houston area, right? Like North Forest ISD closed down, right?
Right.
Obviously in a very impoverished area, had a lot of problems.
Yep.
Basically, that's a lot of so they ended up literally, that was a school district that's just a fucking guy closed down and got sort of absorbed by HISD, I believe.
Right.
But like, that was because of funding and, bad management, all kinds of shit, right? They closed it down.
Right.
But that wasn't because they didn't have enough people to work there.
Ugh.
Nobody wants, and I don't blame them. Nobody wants to be a fucking teacher because they get paid. Dude, districts advertise. I'm gonna put this for real. So Ben, you on a couple episodes ago, which was a sober fucking reality for a lot of people, you kind of redrew the lines of what people think of as middle class, and you gave a real, like, accurate sort of. It was accurate, but it like kind of cold and what's the word I'm trying to say? It was startling, right? Because it's true.
What do you mean?
You said like, dude, like, if your household income isn't like $250K, like, you're poor.
Oh, it's true.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, you know what teachers make, like, in the highest paying districts?
Oh, I know.
First year teachers make in like, school districts will brag about this and be like, bro, like, we first year teachers make $55K. It's like, dude, what? That's not bro. They made, what do you think the average teacher made in like 1995?
Oh, it was like,
I bet 20s. It wasn't no, that's what I'm saying. Like, but how much this shit, right? Like, it's not keeping up. So what do you think is going to happen?
Bad shit.
Bad shit. Like people talk about how teachers in some districts, right, have basically been reduced to like city employee type. I don't want to say that and sounding like I'm being
Yeah,
shitty,
I know
but
what you're saying. I don't think you're
but
trying
you
to
know
be.
what I mean,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
it's
Well, okay. So you go to college, right? You go to college for 4 years. The average cost of a college is like 60 grand, I think, for a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
And I'm factoring, big state schools to, from Harvard to, UNT. To go to a 4-year typical university is in the range between anywhere between 30 to $200,000. So your average is around 50 to 60 grand a year. Starting teachers, actually, if you look at a nationwide survey and you average it, is
it's
around
even less.
$34,000 a year.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
the salary that I just gave was the highest paying district in our area.
Yeah.
Like that number's thrown around to be like, bro, like if you're not coming here, you're a fucking idiot.
Well, they act like they're backing the Brinks truck up for that fucking pay, and it's just like they're not. So yeah,
that doesn't get you shit.
But it doesn't, and I think that's where we continue to have this. I think that's where I think our nation is kind of stupid right now, is that concept, which is basically like, oh yeah, well, $100,000. This, ladies and gentlemen, like, and that's why I was trying to tell Rick the other day, because I did have that epiphany. The middle class is dead.
It doesn't exist, man.
I mean, I think, I hate to say this, unfortunately, but I believe we're the last remnants of that. Yeah. Like we're going to be the ones that like when our kids are going to talk about and I think even probably the people from the 60s and 70s look at us and go, oh my God, you guys really were fucked, because, you hear about the guy that could do it with one income. Now we're the people that have two incomes and we're able to buy houses and cars. But when our kids get out, they're not going to have anything. Like it's literally we just have watched the complete eradication of the middle class. So like what you're saying, I get it. Like, how are you going to offer somebody who paid $50,000-$60,000 for education, whose literal job is to teach and protect your children? These people literally protect your children. There are teachers in almost every mass shooting that have died defending the children in that class. They've died for your children.
Yeah.
And yet we continue to pay substandard. Now, I think the big thing is this, they're trying to wave around that bill. Oh, every teacher should at least make $60,000. And that's from Bernie Sanders. And I know he tries to say that to be realistic because, the reality, every teacher should probably be paid $100,000. Like you should take the average teachers, firemen, police officers, all those guys, you should take the average price of a house, cost of living, and there should be a formula based on that for them to get paid. Because they should always be in that arena because it's huge.
Dude, you have to invest things that you value in your society.
Oh yeah.
Like that.
We don't at all.
We don't,
especially with teachers. I mean,
not to get this, I feel like this is the inevitable tangent, but you're never gonna have. That's why our government never solves any problem, because it isn't based on the system isn't set up for them to solve problems. It's just to stay in office so long that you can accumulate, to
massive
amounts of fucking money. So obviously it's going to go this direction, but it's really sad to see people are not entering the profession, right?
Nope. Actually they're leaving in droves.
They're leaving in droves. That's not good. That doesn't bode well for the future.
Well, it doesn't.
Not in a country that makes, and that's what's so fucking disheartening, is for a country that generates this amount of wealth.
Yep.
We can't. Whoa, you know why? Because it doesn't matter. The ones that are making the moves and generating the wealth on their own, their kids go to fucking got all the resources in the world because they're not in the public school system.
Well, and did you hear what's happening? And unfortunately, so our illustrious Governor Abbott is now introducing the concept of school vouchers.
Right.
And I hate to say this, but when you're in districts that are doing what's happening, especially out in North Texas and places like that, you kind of want to do it because you almost prefer your kids to go to private school. But the problem is once people start taking their kids out of public schools, it's going to take a lot of that funding away. Yeah. And you see these poor teachers go, oh my God, we're going to lose money. And they're right. But the fact that still is part of this whole solution is I don't really feel bad in a sense, because the school districts are right now, I have 3 basketball stadiums being built.
Right.
And another football stadium for shitty football teams that like don't do anything. These aren't like teams that like, oh, we won state several times. I mean, these fuckers barely have a winning record, but they're building $100 million stadium. They're building $5 million basketball stadiums, 3 or 4 of them, but you can't pay your teachers more. It's just the bloat of the public school system and its priorities. I mean, like I told you, right? The high school over here has an 18-wheeler for its band.
Oh no, I believe you, dude.
They employ a person full time to drive the 18-wheeler for all the band stuff.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I spent time. We've talked about this. I spent time as a union representative for one of the highest performing districts in the state of Texas.
Yep.
And at the same time, I saw the old professional when teaching was like a profession,
right?
You know, like start to leave with a lot of bitterness, you know, and pass on the message to the young ones coming up saying like, hey, this is really sad. Like I never thought it would be in this state. Not one deviated from that opinion. I'll be totally honest, dude. Like it's fucked up. And this is that, like I said, these are ones that are performing in one of the highest performing districts in the state. At least at the time. But yeah, it's not going in the right direction. And with these vouchers, right? To me, it feels like it sucks because it's like a Band-Aid. It's like a Band-Aid, but it's like, of course you're going to take the Band-Aid if you're in that position, because you're looking at your individual things. But it takes like a bigger perspective. Like, in other words, no individual, right? Let's say there's this family in a very poor area. They're very poor.
Yep.
The school that they're zoned to is terrible. There's like gang violence and things. So if they get offered the chance for their kid who's maybe like has a very high potential to go, the individual family is going to take that every time. But the problem is the responsibility of the government to actually fix the problem, which is the fact that these underperforming schools are allowed to exist. When the funding's there, it's just not getting allocated to the right places. And we're not, we don't value education as a means to better our society. We're just, the only motivation for anything is bottom line profits. And that's the sad state that we're in. And
it's not even profits.
It's not going to improve until,
right. And I wouldn't even say it's so much even profits. It's just it's not even profits. It's just a bloat of usage of money for all these other things. You know, you got using it. This is pretty far out object. So that means that this star's light either started or ended 900 million years after the Big Bang. So this is the furthest object we've ever been able to detect and see. That's pretty crazy. And just the implications of this is that, you know, we did this with a telescope over 34 years old. Multiple problems, multiple fixes. Everything's been done for this thing. They've done everything to try to keep it running, still producing these great images. What the fuck's going to happen when the other telescope comes online? Like the other one's got 6 times the aperture, 6 times the amount of lens. It's crazy. So the Webb telescope, imagine what Hubble saw. And now you have a telescope that's 3 times further out. No, I'm sorry, 30 times further out. That means that Lagrange 2 has a lens that's like 6-7 times the amount of area that Hubble has. what the fuck is the James Webb going to see? So, nonetheless, this is huge.
Nothing.
Awesome, huh?
I'm probably nothing. Darkness.
Well,
because it's going to go so far out into the beginning of the Big Bang that there's nothing.
That's not how it works, sir. That's
we're
not
actually
how it works. Cosmic
out.
radiation. In the background.
We're actually going to see footage of the Big Bang. That's how fucking good it's.
Yeah. We're like, wow, dude, that's a Big Bang. It's right there.
Yeah, damn,
that shit popped
big.
What happens if the initial footage is just like shitty? It's just like it looks like a beep. Like,
or like, the fucking camera shut off for a fucking second. Fuck, it's the Big Bang. Only the most important event in the entire history of anything.
We're gonna end up looking so far out. Bro, we're just really in a pinball machine. That's what James Webb is going to tell us. We're in a fucking pinball machine or some shit. So anyways, I think that's pretty crazy. It's big news. And also it's kind of fitting for the Hubble space telescope to kind of as a farewell, because it's of course being replaced by the Webb. I think they're still going to use the Hubble for a couple other things, but the big thing will be the Webb telescope. That's going to be the one that tells us a lot more. So
I think that's cool. Into the Pacific.
Which one? The Hubble?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Not yet. I don't think they're going to do it yet. I think they're still trying to get some more out of it. I don't know. That I don't know. They usually do, right? They usually want to bring them into the Earth's orbit and crash them instead of having space debris like the fucking Russians and Chinese leave everywhere. We should dodge it.
Bring it back and put it in a museum or something.
I hope so.
Take the mirrors.
It deserves it. It fucking deserves it, because that thing has been so big. I mean, it saw the cosmic background radiation. It's done so much for astronomy, for everything. So I'm really hoping they do something. But nonetheless, this thing saw something as a farewell gift. It's furthest thing to date to see, and we have nothing but excitement for June once the web telescope comes online. So for all my geeks and other people out there, get ready. If this fucking thing can see some shit from 900 million years after the Big Bang, imagine what the fucking Webb's going to see. I mean, we're talking about real chemical signatures from planets. It's going to be pretty fucking amazing.
I wonder I wonder something. I wonder if maybe wouldn't it be interesting if we found a planet that would, or a celestial body that would reflect light, and we can see back to the Earth 600 million years ago or something.
Dude.
Yeah. We find some sort of a cosmic mirror,
right?
Yeah, you put a mirror up to it.
Oh my god, that'd be fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And what happens?
And then we can see what Earth was like
on that shit. Oh
my god. Hey, you know what?
I'll save you the drama. You know what? You need to trademark that shit. You just came up with like a fucking badass movie.
I'll save you the drama, dude. I'll show you exactly what you're gonna see if you put that mirror up there and you reflect back into 600. Yeah, you'll see me running around like a zoo creature in my in my boxers. Yeah, with a towel, and eating like a fucking zebra for no reason, like on Altered States.
So with a tail, you're gonna have a tail, and you're gonna be running around.
I might have a tail. Yeah, you're right. Some other.
We're really going back. We're going all the way back.
Maybe even like more of a cloven hind leg situation with hooves.
I like it. You know,
like a
with
like
claws,
mandatory and claws. Fuck yeah, it's fast.
What happens if we found a planet that somehow warped time and space, so when we look into it, we actually see our future?
That would be the shit.
I
don't know. Actually, though,
shitty would that be?
I don't think. Yeah,
like an inflection of time and space somehow through like a wormhole or something, but we could still somehow reflect light off of it. We're actually seeing the light from our future versus our past. And we see some fucked up shit, like our planet split in half and the like bodies floating everywhere. We're like, no, what the fuck did we do?
Probably see idiocracy going on.
Right? Right. You see the president with the machine gun. I love Trump.
Or you finally see the reveal of the insect lizard hybrids that populate our Earth, or the core of our Earth, right? And they're finally out, released, mixing and mingling amongst the citizens of the Earth.
Imagine lizard people, if they were allowed to be open, they would just, it would be a fucking craziness. They'd be licking each other and just like looking for heat signatures everywhere and fucking them. It'd be crazy.
That's all they do. Laying out on the fucking
laying
deck,
eggs and just like
trying to warm
copulating
up.
and then like making more fucking lizard people just not like
you know what?
in the air.
The only two humans alive, you know who would they be?
Who?
Queen Elizabeth and Mick Jagger.
Yeah,
They're the only two humans alive.
True. Fucking true, bro.
Oh no, I know.
Damn, man, you guys still living? Yeah, we know.
They're like, we are the lizard people.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Dude.
Mark
Mark
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg.
He's the king.
Lives in the sky.
Yeah.
They like exalt him.
Yeah.
He's like licking clouds. I can taste your doom.
Trying to get his body temperature up by like laying
Right,
out in
no
fucking
shit,
direct
bro.
sunlight and shit.
But you know
Talking
what
about
doesn't
barbecue
need
sauce.
to worry about its body temperature at all is the military AI that they're trying to institute.
Don't, man.
Dude,
So
just let us know, B.
So DARPA
Fuck.
DARPA is now working on a project. I want to say it's called In the Moment. So what they're trying to do
In this moment.
in this magic moment. So what they're going to try to do is instead of people making decisions in military actions, they're going to work towards a reality in which those things are calculated for you with AI, and all of the possibilities are ran through some sort of an algorithm, because that works out good for humans thus far, right? Like TikTok doesn't have any adverse effects on society or Facebook.
No.
None of that shit, right? No.
Twitter was
nothing.
totally good for society.
Issues. No issues whatsoever. Everything positive. I can't see anything wrong with this. I can't see anything possibly wrong with somebody running around some foreign land with instruments of death, relying on an algorithm to decide whether or not to fucking decapitate somebody or not. I don't know.
This is the computer.
Maybe call me old school, but if we're gonna be invading other countries, and
Oh my God.
I just at least I would like a little bit of maybe morality and the flawed human character involved.
Or
to
how about
where, like,
autonomy?
hey, maybe don't. Yeah, or maybe we make our own
Just
fucking
fucking
decisions.
decisions.
Like at that point, aren't we just exterminate every motherfucker with robots?
I mean, imagine
Just
that,
come
I
on,
am a
DARPA.
This is
You know,
DARPA
yeah.
robots.
Here's the problem.
You
though.
must exterminate the bad guys. I
Oh,
mean,
it's not-
who knows this fucking robot doesn't like all of a sudden say fuck the humans, and he just starts like fucking making us kill each
Yeah.
other, and it's just all to like fucking like basically propagate itself. I mean, well, we were fucking around about this story a little bit when we were warming up. We're talking about imagine if they take over Fort Hood, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
And,
one thing about
Miami.
the AI robot though, the only problem with that, before we move to the forehead, is that what if the algorithm says that you must sacrifice a group of soldiers for the bigger purpose,
Right.
like a
Oh,
pawn,
yeah.
like on a chessboard, you sacrifice your
Yeah.
pawn to let a piece go through.
But but be quite honest with you though, the greatest armies in history did that.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Genghis Khan had his blood riders, like, and I'm not trying to take from the fucking ones that they're like. Okay, if for all the morons that don't know, Game of Thrones, the Dothraki were basically fucking the Mongols. Okay, so let's just move. Just so he literally ripped off the whole Mongol culture. Nonetheless, moving on, he would have blood riders, literally like 100 fucking dudes who would charge into an army and die.
Yeah,
That was their whole point.
for the greater purpose.
They would, yeah. You know why he would do that? Because it would just show the devotion the rest of his army had.
Yeah.
People were like, wait, those 100 guys just died. They had no chance of winning.
Yeah.
That's how
it-
much,
Well,
Well,
and it's
people
just-
aren't going to have devotion to the AI. So wherever the AI tells you to go, it knows you're going to get ambushed, but it's going to let the bigger get. I can never get a straight answer from them as to how the fuck do you put the game inside this goddamn console? Is it a CD or do you download it from the internet? And if you download it from the internet, is this a subscription? Do you get to keep the game? How does this work? I don't
Right.
know.
It's a whole
I
different.
can never get a straight answer. All I know is that they're playing something different every time I go to their house. And I know that you got that many games.
No, right.
I don't know,
Yeah.
dude. It's so weird.
Yeah, I think it's like an access.
So you pay for the console and then you pay for like the membership? Is that how that works now?
Yeah.
Or do you buy like a CD?
To like play online.
Do you go to GameStop anymore and buy games?
I think you can, but like I think most of it's digital.
That's so weird, isn't it?
At this point, I think still obviously sell the hard copies, but
like I'm still trying to put a cartridge or a CD in this machine, and now you're talking about like
you're blowing on the fucking cartridge. I know.
Okay, Zelda's gonna work now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, God damn it, there's a line through the middle of the fucking screen. I gotta take it out and reset it, blow it one more time. Shit, hard times, man. Or you spit on it too much, now you fucked it up because you blew on it too much and like your spit got in there.
Or you buy like the Nintendo,
shorted it out.
You buy the official Nintendo cleaner, and all it is like a little cotton pad with some alcohol, and that costs you like $30.
Oh, you could have easily just made. Yeah, you could have done that. That's a DIY project. You don't need a product for that. For sure.
But you know who's playing a lot of video games right now?
Who?
The people like Shanghai, because they're not allowed to leave their homes right now. Apparently, they're still doing lockdowns in China.
It's so bad. Like the reason we bring this up. So, yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. So we thought, like in our heads, like we're so done with that shit.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I mean, I've been talking to a doctor recently who's like, yeah, you know, blah, blah, blah. We're never completely out of the woods, but for the most part, you know, herd immunity. And now, like I said, it's a doctor. I'm just saying what he said. I'm not endorsing one way or the other or whatever.
Yeah, right. Sure.
He just said, yeah, but he's just like, yeah, I think at this point, I think we actually do have, you know, somewhat of an immunity build up. So it's like, yeah, we'll get waves. It'll be like the flu, blah, blah, blah. But in Shanghai, they have gone completely like, this ain't your mama's lockdown. Like, this is the shit. Like, this is the shit we were scared of, like the science fiction projections. So anyway, I've heard stories. There were some accounts we read. I think there's an article you sent. It was somebody who's actually in there, a resident of Shanghai, where it's the worst. There's other cities, I think like Tianjin's locked down, but like Shanghai, I think is like the most extreme. Yeah. So they can't leave their house like whatsoever. There's dudes in hazmat suits. You have to come out. The only time you can come outside is to get COVID tested. Yeah. So they'll come out, they'll march outside, get COVID tested in whatever kind of order. And then they're sitting there. This person that's telling this account is like, you know, they're just sitting there terrified because it's like, oh, I love being outside, but it's like, fuck, if I test positive, then I'm fucked. Because then they're going to go to this like shithole of a quarantine center that doesn't have running water. Yeah, you heard that correctly. So yeah, it's like, God damn, like, do I stay in my fucking already probably tiny dwelling? Like I've seen shit from Hong Kong, and I know I know it's different, but like I'm not imagining a real suitable scenario for the residents of fucking Shanghai, which is like 25 million people, big city, you know, and they like to live in a little cramped. So anyway, and what I'm saying is it's not a comfortable existence if you got locked in your house, but if you come outside, if you test positive. So yeah, you have two options. You can test positive and come to a worse fucking place and be sick with fucking COVID. Oh, and you might die too, depending on your health situation, or disappear. Seriously, that's the reality too. Or you go back to your existence where you're in your apartment and okay, maybe you're COVID free. But how do you get food? Oh, the only way to get food, guess what, is to order it. And now you have to depend on a goddamn food delivery system that's state run probably, who doesn't have your best interests in mind,
for 25 million people.
Yeah. And so they're overwhelmed and they can't get everybody fucking food. So people are ordering from like 70 different places at a time, just trying to, like a fucking roulette wheel, like maybe one of them will show up and I'll actually get to eat to survive.
That's messed up.
And some people have restrictive diets. So what they're doing,
like vegetarian,
dude, either that or like maybe legit health problems where it's like, oh, no, not even that. I'm just talking about like I'm allergic to whatever, you know?
Yeah, I'm allergic to peanuts. Well, all we got is peanuts, man.
That's all we got. So here you go. No, for dead serious. Like that's the shit that's happening. It's like, oh, you're allergic to eggs? Well, there's eggs and there's carrots. So I hope you like carrots. And like, that's what they're getting. Like, they're just sending them what the fuck ever. It's not like, oh, I want French toast. No, asshole, you're getting corn or you're getting you're getting like one thing, dude. And like they're dying, dude. Like people are dying of starvation and freaking out and protesting because this is so bad. This is like the worst. This is what like a dude freaking out conspiracy theorist envisioned in his head, like when 2020 first happened, is literally what's going on in Shanghai right now.
And so the weird part is that so I've seen videos of this, of what's happening over there. So these guys in white suits have been given any and all authority to enforce this lockdown by whatever means necessary, whether it's by by grabbing a person and shoving them into their house, or beating the shit out of them, which has happened. Really?
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of videos of basically women trying to fight back, and these guys in the white suits beat the shit out of them with no remorse.
Dude.
Oh, and I found one satisfying video of one guy who managed to get a hold of one of these white guys in white suits and knock the shit out of him and take off his mask, took off everything.
Oh, fuck.
And his wife had to stop him, but he had him on the floor and he was just pounding on him.
Oh,
and it was weird because nobody was coming to help the dude in the white suit.
No, yeah, of course not. Oh,
but it's getting bad, dude. It's getting savage. Now, what I'm thinking is you have a city of 25 million people versus an army of about 30,000, maybe.
Yeah.
And they're not even armed. Why not get out, organize something, scream something from the protest, get out of there.
No, at some point, yeah, they're gonna light the fucking city on fire.
Yeah, I mean,
they're done.
If you're the person and you're starving and you got no hope for your life, fucking go out there and risk getting a bullet in the head and have everybody else watch it happen.
No, dead serious. Like the best way to start a revolution, starve the people. They have to eat.
Yeah.
They're gonna get fed. That overrides everything. So eventually they're just be like, nope, I'd rather eat than die. So you're in my way. And that's what's gonna happen. So it's not a good outlook. The other thing, the little guy kind of gruesome. You were talking about like the guys in the white suits, the hazmat guys beating the shit out of everybody. Not only that, but like, so imagine the scenario I kind of painted earlier where the guy's waiting on his food, or her or whoever waiting on their food, or they got to go get their COVID test. And like, okay, you're positive. You got to go to the quarantine center. Oh, well, what about my dog? I saw that. I'm sorry. So fuck your dog. Dink. They hit him with a shovel and fucking kill him. Like that's what's going on.
So the story behind that was this: that the guy tested for COVID, and they immediately took him to the quarantine center. They're walking him over there. Didn't give him time to get his shit or have someone take care of his dog or anything. So his dog was following him. The dog was following him to the center, and the guy in the white suit didn't like that. He needed the dog to go back. So what does he do? He beats the dog with a stick. Dude, he beat the dog to death with a stick.
Fuck, dude.
What the fuck, man? Like, what kind of person are you? You're supposed to be a healthcare worker, I guess? I don't know. I'm not sure if these are police, military, or healthcare workers doing this.
Dead serious. Like, what the fuck agency like is this? Do you remember? Yeah. So what's funny is like when there's this weird, whenever it's like martial law and shit, it's like people that work at the tax office are like got rifles and gas masks and shit. You know what I mean? It's like at that point, it's just like the government versus. Do you remember like the riots in like Portland and shit? And like you'll send in these like federal troops. It's like, okay, they're federal. It's like some of them are like border patrol, like fucking Coast Guard, like I don't know, like they're just giving everybody fucking guns, like go, like all these fucking gray area agencies that are now militarized. And so what are these hazmat suit guys? They aren't, like you said, obviously if they're like have got such a burning desire to beat the fuck out of everybody, like they're not cleric, like clerical workers. It's weird.
No, they're not. Weird, I don't know what they are.
Fucked up. This is so fucked up, and especially like,
and
I don't know. It just seems weird, dude. No, I just think like COVID at this point has absolutely fucking nothing to do with what's going on over there.
No, I don't think so either. And I was going to get to that the variant that they're talking about isn't even it's less harmful or less lethal than the previous Omicron variant. So we're still sticking with Omicron, okay? Because we don't want to call it the Chi variant because that's Xi Jinping or whatever. So they're gonna stick with the Omicron. And it's called the Omicron BA2 variant. And it's far more virulent. It spreads a whole lot quicker than the previous Omicron variant. But it's, like the laws of viruses go, is that the more virulent it is, the more transmissible it is, the less lethal it is. Mm-hmm. Because it's not worth for a virus to kill its host and spread so quickly, because then it'll die off. So if anything, this is a watered down of the Omicron variant. And they locked down the city for this? Yeah. So it's not about COVID anymore. I don't know what this shit is about. I'm not sure why the Chinese government is punishing one of the major city centers of their country, Shanghai, which is a major financial center.
Oh, it's like is it not?
The financial center.
I feel like it is. Yeah, it's like of mainland China for sure.
And the thing is that, with any major metropolitan city, be it New York, Tokyo, Shanghai, Beijing, the living quarters are sold to people, and the living quarters where people live are small because you have the entire city to enjoy. That is your backyard. People do not stick around in their apartment complexes. They go out to the parks. They go out to the clubs. They go out to the night scene. They only go back there to sleep. So you're confining these people to these small little apartments for, what is it, 3 weeks now?
Yeah.
And the only thing you have to offer them is a drone telling them to, soothe their soul's desire for freedom. Bitch, fuck you, I need food.
Oh,
that's what you were.
No, and think about, like, in our culture, right? That's a good point you bring up, because, like, that lifestyle, it isn't meant, like, we're in shock when we see these Hong Kong apartments, which it's shocking, it's tiny. But to your point, yes, the idea is that, in other words, the reason that's even livable for people is because they just go sleep there. They may have a few amenities, for 15-minute downtimes where they're not, whatever. So they can tolerate it because it's like, the rest of the day they're out doing whatever. But imagine, so when we were locked down, right? For let's say your average American, who's like a homeowner, right? We've got a house and a yard. Like, at the end of the day, if we can get food, we still got power, it's not that bad. But what if what if you're in like a fucking 10 by 12? You're now in solitary confinement. Like, you just put your entire fucking community in solid loss. He didn't even hurry off. Yeah, mouth last night. In 2021, right, with all these technologies and all these ways that we can make it easier to access people to vote, if you really believe in democracy, to me, the idea should be that you truly believe to make it accessible for every single citizen who is eligible to be able to cast their vote in the best way possible. You want to ensure that opportunity is available to them. This political shit and this going back and forth, to me, it seems like if you're that hard up to if you're nitpicking at all these little rules and all these things, and you're even having this conversation at all, you're not, your heart is not into letting every citizen vote. You can make all these arguments all you want and say, well, all these things were in place because of COVID anyway. Okay, great. Well, they were introduced and they allowed more people to vote. So, hey, you know what? Maybe that's good. Regardless of where you lean politically, I just think that if you're opposed to that, you're obviously opposed to that for fucked up reasons.
Yeah, but you would be opposed. It's not limiting people to vote. It's, yes, COVID brought in all these new rules, like mail-in voting, and that allowed more people to vote. But were these people eligible to vote? That's the question.
Okay.
letting people
like it's a federal crime to vote if you're not.
Oh Jesus, here we go again with
federal crime.
Yes, it is a federal crime to want to vote.
Not one to vote.
When you're not supposed to vote when you're not
qualified. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, you create these laws within the state level to prevent that from happening. And so that's the problem. It's not.
But do you need to though, since it's already handled on the federal level? I mean, it's already handled. It is.
It's not handled on the federal level. But they give it to the states to decide their own policies for voting. That was a problem with the presidential election. See, every state has their own rules. The federal government does not get involved with the voting process within the state. So,
well, you were complaining about this whole time. Now you want to flip your sides. You're complaining about that.
What are you talking about?
Everything in the voting should be the same. It should all be where we cheat for Trump. I mean, no, you were literally saying this
that's not
2-3 months ago, and now you're like, no. See, it's good that they're all separate.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
I'm enjoying this, dude. I'm enjoying this.
No, I'm just saying the state of Texas, federal government does not get involved with the voting rules within the state level. So,
yeah, which you hated. That's what I'm talking about. You hated that concept.
I mean, can it be done better? Yeah, of course. Anything can be done better.
Now it's cool whenever they want to prove your point. Continue.
Yeah, everything's better now. So anyway,
it is better. Biden got elected.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I'm glad you finally you're on it. That's cool, dude. Thanks, man.
Anyway, so we got to make sure Biden does not get elected again, and therefore we need to change these state laws. Is that what you want to hear? Because
that's what it is. It's beautiful. I mean, at least you're being honest, right? At least you're being honest. You're the only honest Republican in like 400-mile radius right now. I mean, be honest. Think about it.
Okay, that's not true.
It is true. We're trying to keep Black people and minorities from voting as much, and we're trying to cultivate our own voters so that Biden can get unelected somehow.
But I don't know how these votes are targeting minorities, though. I mean, this voter, quote unquote, voter suppression law.
Right.
I call it voter reform law. How's it targeting?
Yeah, and they probably called the
re-education.
They called it a cleansing center. Right? Yeah. You can call whatever the fuck you want, bro. We know what it is. Okay. Shit, man.
It's not.
You are fucking Hitler in art school, bro. Jesus, you're so close, bro.
Wherever the Uyghurs stay is called artistic learning center.
Right. So. Right. It's the hand art center. That's where the Uyghurs are at. Fuck, Rick, you scared me, man. You ever get power, I just hope that you're kind to at least me and my family. Oh man, because you're fucking terrifying, bro.
This is gonna be called the voter reform bill.
Okay, voter reform bill.
Fuck, man, now I kind of hope the show doesn't blow up. So
Rick, that's what's gonna happen.
Gonna get a big ass,
blow up, dude.
Bro, he's gonna get all gassed up and start running for political office. Like, fuck,
this is
my
the beginning of the Omen.
Yeah, dude, we were talking about me running for. We were talking about me running for governor. Fuck it, man. Rick's gonna run for.
Let's do it,
next
man.
Vice president.
No, he's running for Fuhrer, bro. He's going all in. There's so half stepping.
Don't worry about it, Ben. You'll be fine.
No goose stepping.
Oh, you won't be going to a camp. You'll be going to someplace special where nobody will know.
Right, oh no, he's gonna put me in the mountains in a cabin. Oh my god.
All right, now chop wood. Go.
Right. Faster. Go. So anyways. So what I mean, but in the end, right? This bill, if we want to argue the integrity of SB7, its main purpose is to make voting more restricted. Right. Okay. Yes, it's more restrictive. It's more restrictive. That's all it's doing. I mean, that's the pure essence. It wants to make voting in their minds more cleaner by making it more difficult.
In the spirit of it too. And sorry, man, you're going to obviously, I know you're going to have a lot to say about this. That's I kind of wanted to jump in real quick so like the whole context of this though, too, is the big, like, voter fraud, like the election was stolen. It just seems on the heels of that, it's hard to take it that it's not like a reaction, right? Like all of a sudden voter fraud now is you know what I mean? Like go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with restricting voting. Okay, it is a very important civic duty that must be undertaken by every citizen. But there's nothing wrong with restricting it. You see,
What?
you don't want fraud. You're not okay. You're trying to limit fraud wherever you can. Plug up the holes. Okay, it doesn't mean that you're restricting certain people from voting. It means that now there's more controls when you're voting. Why? Because it's such an important civic duty.
Well, okay.
You're electing people that are making
And
policy decisions that are wasting your tax money.
You doing
You
some
want-
verbal tap dancing like a motherfucker, man. Everything you said
want-
still points to restriction.
No, that's restriction is good. It should be
seriously.
restricted.
You like
It should
Sammy
be-
Davis right now with your words, like
should-
dancing around it.
You should
Sammy
want to
Davis.
vote. It should not be as easy as buying a song on iTunes. If people still do that, but
Well, but what?
I
yeah,
kind of disagree, man. Like, well, here's the thing too about the restrictions. One thing to point out, like a historical context, after African Americans got the right to vote, they put all this shit like, oh, you have to count the number of fucking jelly beans in the jar before you cast your ballot, or whatever the fuck, man. There's all these like Jim Crow shit. So with that in mind, like it's not a stretch though to say that these things have that same spirit behind them.
no, because the only thing you have to do now is present an ID. That's it. You have an ID,
Well,
you
not-
can vote.
But not if SB7 goes through. I mean, you'd have to not only present an ID, but you'd have to show up between like fucking 8:30 and 4:30 p.m.
Yep.
on Tuesday afternoon, or whatever. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is like to me, like my whole little soliloquy earlier about like
Soliloquy.
free the democracy, right?
That
Like
was awesome.
as we
Playing.
advance as we
boy.
advance in
Motherfuckers in
technology.
soliloquy. I love it.
It's like when Ross Perot was barking in his fucking third party campaign waste of time or whatever, talking about how like, yeah, we should be able to fucking push a button on our TVs, and basically, in his little caveman mind was talking about the internet. So the more technological advances we make, and yes, I do
Caveman
understand. Yes, there absolutely has to be. I mean, you can't just take any asshole and just like, oh, you're John Douglas, sure, or whoever the fuck. Yes, you have to fucking ID. I'm okay with ID and like all that shit. But what I'm saying is there's way more than that. There's these time slots, and it's like, hey, we introduced all these things, yes, because of COVID, but fuck, it made it easier for people to vote. But anyway, we're kind of spinning in circles here.
But you know what though? I agree with you. We do need technology, and we have it. Okay. Here's the thing. Why? And Ben brought this up earlier a few shows ago, where we have an app to vote, and we have the technology to make sure that every vote is valid, because every phone takes your picture to unlock itself, or you have phones that detect your thumbprint to unlock itself. Why can't we use that technology to vote? I mean, every person would be a live person. You would know, and that would be a proven human being behind that phone voting, and the intended human being too. So
yeah, I mean, you could get to that point, but you still don't have one phone per one person identification, like specific validation. Right? Like people could still fudge that with numbers and fingerprints and whatever the fuck. I get where you're going.
Yeah.
Yes. No,
I mean,
know.
this is just
I'm totally with you. I would love that, but the problem
that would be dope.
That would be completely like your party would lose its fucking mind. Like I mean, that's the whole concept of the Republican Party since the 1970s. Is to try to make voting harder and restrict voter access. You think Republicans would actually be cool with an app where everyone could vote.
I don't know. I mean,
dude, no.
I'm just saying, dude.
You are such a liberal commie right now. It's
no,
beautiful to watch. And this came out of your own mouth. So
no, dude,
anyone listening, just remember, he fucking said this. I didn't walk him into it.
I was
no coercion.
I was serious about.
No,
I was serious about
bro.
calling it voter reform. Okay, because I'm not against. I am against restricting certain people from voting. I am.
Bro,
everyone should have the right to vote who can vote.
Right.
Okay? Episode 50, you just sold out, bro.
You sold out on your whole party, bro.
On episode 50,
all the Republicans right now tearing their hair out, stabbing their
I'm
knees.
all for voting. Okay, and I think this is a voter reform bill, not a voter suppression bill. In the spirit of that, I think to increase access for people to vote, I mean, why not use existing technologies, right? So anyway, I'm just saying. But I will tell you this.
That's what every Democrat says.
A friend of mine,
we could use the technology.
A friend of mine, a very prominent Republican, once said, "There's more of them than there are of us." He said that. Okay, right. So I'm just saying. I know where you're coming from, but you should want to vote. You should be able to fill out the paperwork. Okay, and maybe in the future, we will use apps for that. I don't know.
like in year 2500, because the Republican Party finally accepted that there's a thing called an app.
Maybe.
We'll see. Anyways, what we can accept are quite a few different things, guys. Like, what's one that we can't accept lately, gentlemen?
Well, I can't accept the fact that over 70% of drug arrests are marijuana related.
I can't accept is the fractional amounts that these arrests are made for.
Yeah, what is that numerology?
Like nothing. Like we're talking about, like, a joint here, less than an ounce or a gram, and people are going to jail, and it's 70% of jail time are from these penalties for that, which is just fucking madness. It's clown shows.
So you're saying that 70% of people in jail carried a gram or less of marijuana?
Right. No, like,
that's a little bit of
yeah. Like that's
we're comparing two different.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
There's two different studies here. So one is that of all the drug related crimes or arrests, 70% of those are marijuana, which, as you may know, is legal in some states for recreational use.
Like half the states.
So that's sad. So in other words, depending on what state you're in, your whole life could be a whole different situation. And if some parts of our great union are doing certain things, it should probably be unified, because your outcome for your existence and how you live out your earthly livelihood could be very well changed just because of the geographic proximity to I don't know what I'm saying.
That was awesome. Crazy.
That was awesome. I liked it. Sometimes I just like
I like where that was going.
Bro, I just zone out.
It's not even so good.
That was awesome. You know what it's like sometimes?
Geographical, topographical. I was like, where's this motherfucker going? Are we gonna do a LiDAR scan? What's happening?
Do you ever open up your text messages and start pressing the middle button when you're texting, and just the middle word, and it comes up with some weird ass sentence?
I've done that. I did that for 10 minutes. It was like a novel of madness. It was so fucking awesome.
That's what's going on right now. Benjamin's pressing that middle word.
Bro, that's my entire. Hey, check it out. I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that. That cat. That's my whole life. Is that middle? Anyway, so awesome.
Oh my God.
So the two different statistics is that 70% of but then also too
Rick, that was fucking dynamite. Dude, that was so good. I done that. I'm laughing because that's exactly what I did.
It's true.
Awesome. That was exactly what you.
You know what? Sometimes you come up with something funny, and then it makes sense. So whatever.
That was magical.
So I love it.
So fucking good.
God, we truly live in a magical kingdom.
See, there you go. In that fucking interbutton, bro. It's middle word.
Middle word.
I want a casserole. Tamale.
Oh, shit. I love it, dude. That's gonna
Japan.
At Arby's.
be
In
middleware.
Japan.
We're making up mumble rap as we speak.
Oh
man.
my
This is
god,
beautiful.
that was fucking amazing. Anyways, continue. I'm sorry.
But the whole here's
We're
the
gonna
whole,
get
oh, the
I'm sorry.